Hey, Miss Vaughn. Okay, so hopefully the lighting is good and you can hear me because I'm doing this in a bedroom. So I hope you can hear me. I don't have any microphones or anything because it's on my phone. So let's pray you can hear me. Okay, so I had the privilege of getting to observe at Ward Elementary School in Cabot. And Ward is a beautiful school. For an elementary school, I think it's one of the prettiest elementary schools I've been in. The staff is really nice. They're really friendly. They have this new, I don't know if every school is like this, but at Ward, they make sure that safety is their number one priority, and they are constantly like on top of the safety procedures, and every child is escorted everywhere. They have I don't know if they're called paras, but they have people in the office that if they need a child, they will go to the classroom and escort them to where they need to go. In order to get into any door in the building, except for the main entrance, all the doors are locked, so you have to have a key. So I like that about Ward. I really like how it's safe and how it's a good environment. Ward is a Title I school, and it has been for the past, I want to say 3 to 4 years. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 3 to 4 years. And that just means that they get funding, they get federal funding, and with this money, this is what I did my service activity on, but with this money, they get to use that grant money for cool activities like, for instance, they have Club Awesome, and Club Awesome is every day, Monday through Friday. It starts in like September. That way the kids have a chance to get settled in, and it starts at 3:30 and it ends at 5. And there's even buses that take these students home. Sometimes they have parents that come and pick them up. So it's a really cool club that does incorporate cooking. They've got photography. They've got taekwondo, which is the class that I observed at. I did my activity with. They have piano lessons. They've got a fitness class where you learn how to be fit and what foods are the best for you. They've got a science club. I mean, they have a lot of clubs that a lot of schools don't have. Piano lessons, like normally private piano lessons cost hundreds of dollars, and they get this for free. Even in taekwondo, they're even given uniforms. So I think that's something that's really cool as well. And during the summer, they have Camp Awesome, which is basically the same thing. It's just a summer program that these students go to. Now they do these activities on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they focus on homework and they focus on doing their academics. So they have people that walk around with them, and they'll sit at tables, and they'll have people that are walking around. They just raise their hand for help, and you go and you help them to the best of your ability. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays is kind of like their, I guess, reward day in a way, if we're not, for working really hard on their academics. Just a little background with Ward. I observed Miss Wilbanks' kindergarten class, so I did get to work with kindergartners. There was 18 kindergartners, and then by the end of it, there was 19. So the first thing is the seating arrangements, and the seating arrangements, I really liked how she did it. She had circle tables, which I like circle tables because it doesn't take up as much space, I don't think, and I don't know, I just really like it. I'm not too sure why I like it, I just do. And they had seat sacks and they had cubbies as well. So they didn't have everything at their desk. They had it in their seat sack and they had it at their cubbies. So it did have a lot of table space. And you could see everyone's desks when you walked in the door. You could see them from the back of the room, at the back of the centers. You could see them from the smart board. So you could see every desk. So I did like that, and I liked how it was kind of arranged. I know I use my hands a lot, but it was kind of arranged like in a U shape. And the main focus when you walk in the classroom, of course, is the smart board, and you have the rug on the carpet, and the tables were arranged kind of in a U shape. So they were around, if a student got sick, wasn't feeling good, or if they kept laying down on the carpet, they would be asked to sit at their table. So it was really good that Miss Wilbanks could see them even though she was teaching a lesson. The thing that I would have to say would be a grow for the seating arrangements. I think there's not much that I would do differently. I think I wouldn't have certain students together. Now, she did do, there were certain students that had behavioral problems, and she placed them with the more quiet students so they wouldn't behave as badly. But there was 2 boys. They didn't sit at the same table. They sat at different tables, but their tables were right next to each other. And these 2 boys would always get up and talk and go to each other's tables, and they would always mingle. So I thought that was really distracting, and you could ask them 100 times to not do that, and they still would do it. So I thought if maybe you moved one boy over to the other side of the room and this other one to the other side, that would create a less of a going and talking, because they would actually have to get up and walk, and you could catch them right then and say, no, go, will you please go to your seat? So that's what I would say is a grow, just to make the boys, when you see that, just make them put on the opposite side of the room. The next thing is classroom management, and I like the way she did her management. Time was kind of used, okay, and I have to remember, in a kindergarten classroom, everything is not going to be perfect, and it's not going to go how you want it to plan. Before I did my observation, I always had in my head, okay, well, everything's going to go to plan, and at this time we're going to do this and this and this. Well, that's not true. And I definitely learned that it's not true, and everything you want to teach is not going to get done in that day. You may have these plans, you may have this and this that you're supposed to hit, but you're not going to hit it in time, because you just have so many interruptions going on in the day. Students have accidents, students get hurt, students fall down. I mean, it's just, students don't listen. So there's a lot that you have to account for when you're doing the time of the day, I guess is how you would say it. So there was a lot that I learned right off the bat, that it's not a structure, and it's not going to go plan. There's a lot of things from day to day as I would go in, that 11 o'clock is here, and they were supposed to be doing their academic centers, but they weren't even there yet, because they were still on morning meeting, because they started off late because a student got hurt, or someone didn't listen, or all the kids are rowdy, and so they all had to put their heads down. So there was a lot of times where you weren't on the same track as you were yesterday or a week before, and I think that causes a lot of chaos and hecticness, because when you're young like that and you're trying to establish order and you're trying to establish a routine, you can't really establish that if you don't do it constantly every single day. So it's really hard. It's really difficult. The grow that I would have on that is, like I said, you can't really do this. Just try to have a little more structure, just a little more, okay, well, guys, we need to hit this today. This is what we're gonna do. I would try to make it as constant as I could, but it is hard. It's because they're younger kids. The next one is classroom learning. And classroom learning, I thought this was a pretty cool idea. Miss Wilbanks has a couple of cool resource tools that she used. One of them was a website called Go Noodle. And I don't know if all the schools do this, but I know a lot of the teachers in Ward do. And it's this cool website where you put it on a smart board, and it's an interactive game. And you can pick your grade level. And I think it goes all the way up to 12th. I'm not sure, though. But they have kindergarten appropriate videos. And you pick your grade level. You can either ask questions, like make your own questions. Like, example, if you were in a 6th grade classroom, you could do your own trivia questions and ask the kids to do that. But this one that they would do, they have moving activities. And there's one that's called, I can't think of the name, but there is, they just do dance moves. And this is cool. Miss Wilbanks uses this after the class has been sitting on their bottoms for a little bit. They've all been paying attention to the lesson. She'll say, okay, we're going to do a Go Noodle or two. And it gets them up. It gets them going for like 5 minutes. Their blood's pumping. They're happy. They're excited. And their brain is moving because they're thinking and they're actually doing something. So they're not just sitting on the ground, fiddling their thumbs and not paying attention. They know that if they pay attention, they do everything, that it's asked, and they, try and participate, they have a chance to get a Go Noodle. Well, after you complete a Go Noodle, you get a Weevil point. And a Weevil is a little character that grows into a big character. So you need 10 Weevil points to get this big character. And once you get him, you can watch him grow. You can watch him get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is also a cool incentive for the children, because they're like, I want to watch him get bigger, so we got to act right so we can go do a Go Noodle. And I like that learning, I guess, that approach on it. I know it's not the whole like learning style, but I really enjoyed how she incorporated that into the learning, and she made it fun. It wasn't just, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to learn how to do the A and we're going to learn how to do the number 1. It was more of, okay, well, we're going to do this, and after, if everyone's participating, we're going to do a couple of games, and then we're going to do a Go Noodle, and we're going to go back to doing this work. And so I really like that. A grow that I would have on this, gosh, I really don't know what I would do differently. I really enjoyed how she did the Go Noodle. I guess what I would do is maybe do the Go Noodle a little more, and I would probably incorporate my own questions, because they did have readings every day. For example, there was a book that they read one time, and it was called Miss Wishy-Washy, and that tied in with their lesson of the week. It tied in with the letter W. They're doing W that week, and they're doing a number that week. I can't remember what the number was. But you can ask questions, and the kids, because it is a smart board, the kids can go up to the board and move around, the answers. And so I would probably incorporate questions just to kind of get their brain flowing and ask them, what does wishy-washy start with? What letter, what sound is this? I would probably do that a little differently, because I never saw her incorporate her own questions. It was already stuff that was made that not necessarily pertained to the lesson. So yes, the Go Noodle is fun, and it does get the kids moving, it gets them active, it gets them excited about learning. But if it's not pertaining to what they just learned, what they just read, I feel like it would be better if we incorporated, again, okay, well, we're doing this again. We've already gone over it in class, we've done examples, and now we're doing a hands-on example, because children learn differently. We're doing a hands-on example, and you're coming up here, you can touch the board, we can actually see it. So I think that would be the best way, but that's just my personal opinion. The next one is learning activities, and my glow for this one, she did have a lot of centers in her room, and I loved that. I loved the centers. In every kindergarten class that I've ever observed at, they've always had centers, and I just love this. I love how the students can just go and create their own thing. They can go and learn stuff. They can go and challenge their brains more. Sometimes Miss Wilbanks took this time to sit down with students. She would either do one-on-one students, or she would have a group. Towards the end of the observation, she did have assessments she had to do, and she was on a deadline. So what I kind of did is I walked around, I talked to the students, interacted with them, and she was over there with the students, and she was assessing them, reading with them, counting how many words they could, read in a minute, and asking them basically what they they read a passage, and she would ask them what they read, basically. So that was the learning activities. I guess, again, you could say the Go Noodle could tie in with that. But another thing that she did, every morning they had morning meeting. The children would come in, they put their bags down, they would sit down at their chairs, and then they would wait until first bell. They would have the principals would do their announcements, and after that they got on the carpet, they got in their spot. Miss Wilbanks sat in her chair, and they wrote out a morning message together. Now, because the students had seen this so many times, they would say with her, okay, dear class, today we are, and every Monday they had music, every Tuesday they had art, so they would go over that, and then they would go over and they would talk about what they were going to talk about today. Okay, we are learning about this. For example, one week was Grandparents' Week. Okay, Grandparents' Day was Thursday and Friday. They split it up between 2 days. And that whole week, they learned about grandparents. They had all kinds of activities towards grandparents, and they read books about it. So I just like how with the learning, it wasn't just, it was really interesting. It was really fun. I'm not really sure how to say it, but it wasn't just one way. It was, they did the morning meeting, they had the morning message together, they might have done something on the smart board, they did something with the calendar, they did something with the weather, so it all tied in together, and I really liked how that flowed. The grow that I would have for learning activity would probably be, again, this is probably going to go into like the students resisting learning, but when the students did resist learning and when they wouldn't want to participate or they felt sick all of a sudden, I wouldn't just tell them, go put your head down and be done with it. I would kind of call on them more and make them participate just a little more, because they're trying to, I guess you could say, to get the easy way out. I don't know if that's how you would say that, but I think for my grow, I would want everyone to participate in the activity. A lot of times she would only have, like, she had a game where you would have to find something, so you'd have to touch this on a smart board and it would be a number, and you would touch that number, tell her what number it was, and then you would pull it like a memory game. And if there was something under there, you won. Well, not every student had a chance to do this because there was only 12 slots. So only 12 of the 19 students got to actually participate. The other students didn't get to do anything. They just sat there. So I think I would have more of a actual learning activity for all of the students to be included, is what my grow would be. Classroom climate was amazing. When I become a teacher, this is something that hits true home to me. It was amazing. Every morning walking in there, and kids just light up. They see Miss Wilbanks, they light up. Miss Wilbanks every morning, and I really love this. I saw this thing on Ellen, and this teacher had every morning made sure the kids. She was in New Mexico, so they were from a poor district, and she made sure all the kids had their toothpaste and toothbrushes in case they didn't have it at home. She asked them if they were hungry, did they get to eat, did they get enough sleep, do we need to take a little nap break. So she made sure every student was taken care of. Miss Wilbanks has water bottles and makes sure every student has a drink. She also has snacks that she brings in herself. She goes out and buys these snacks. And some students do come in from breakfast. Some students come in late. Some students come in already eaten and they're fine. But she's filling up the water bottles every morning when I walked in, making sure they have something to drink at all times. The water bottle stays at their desk, and they know at any point they can go and get that drink. She also has snacks, like I said, that she provides for the students. It's just amazing. It's just amazing because every student loves her, absolutely loves her. Miss Wilbanks has won in the school because Ward's motto is superheroes. Not really motto, I guess theme would be the correct word, is superheroes. And she won a superhero award because she was caught being a superhero, a super teacher. And it's just everyone that I talk to, whether it's another principal, whether it's another teacher, whether it's people that I know her outside of work, they just say amazing things about her. And it's just amazing. She does have an adopted son and adoptive daughter, and they're from China, and I really like that she has that background, because I feel like it just makes her that much more of a teacher, because I'm not too sure if these were her students before and she adopted them, if they came from a bad home, I don't know, but I do know that she treats every student the same. The students will come up to her, give her a hug, say, I love you, Miss Wilbanks. She'll say, I love you too. And it really hits home, because that's what teaching is about. And to me, it's more than just saying, okay, well, here's how we do the letter A today. It's that student comes in knowing, I feel safe here, I feel comfortable here. This teacher cares about me, this teacher loves me, and that's what it is. And every single student in that classroom feels the love. They feel welcome. They don't feel judged. She's not mean. I've never once in my 30 hours heard her raise her voice. Never once. So there's not a grow that I would have in classroom climate at all, because there's nothing else you could improve on. She is honestly an amazing teacher, and all the students just love her and adore her. And there's nothing more. There's nothing more I think she could improve on, because she's just that good. She's that wonderful. The last one, well, not last one. The next one is students resisting learning. There was a couple boys, the boys I was talking about earlier, who sat next to each other. They were a pair, basically, and they did have a couple of times they would not listen. Now, Miss Wilbanks, she's been teaching for 18 years, so she does have kind of an experience with this. And instead of sending them out in the hallway, instead of stopping the class altogether, she would look at them and say, you behave now, or you go to the timeout spot, or you give me 5 at recess. And that's what she did. That's all she said. Sometimes she'll only have to give him a look, but that's it. That's all she would say. And I saw a couple students go to the timeout spot. They just sit down, she calls it the think about it spot. They just sit down and they think about their actions and their behavior. It wasn't the think about it spot was not used as much as it was said to be used. So for my grow, that's what I would say would be one of the grows, to prevent the students resisting learning. I would definitely promote more discipline, because when a student would interrupt class and when a student would just not, just be plain disrespectful and throw a fit, all she would say was, behave now, or go to your table, go to the think about it spot, or give me 5 at recess. And that's it. It was never fully brought out. Okay, well, here's recess now, and you were supposed to owe me 5 minutes. There was never anything like that. So a lot of times, I think, to preserve the classroom time and to not make a big fuss, she just kind of overlooked it. But when the kids were really, really bad, I never got to witness when they were really, really bad, but I'm sure that she would actually go through with it. But a lot of times I did observe that it was just easier to not overlook it per se, but it was just easier to kind of say, oh, well, it wasn't that big of a deal, and move on with the lesson, because she didn't want to take too much time out of the lesson. So I understand, but I would definitely incorporate a little more discipline. Teaching approach is the last one. For this one, I really like, sorry, my legs hurt. I really like her teaching approach. She had a fun approach. She would get up with the kids and do the Go Noodle when they would do Go Noodle. I really liked how she went about it. She did go about it fun. She did help every student. She did the most I think she could do to make it as fun, to make learning as fun and entertaining as possible. With kindergartners, it is very hard to hold their attention no matter what you're doing. Even when we had the iPads out, it was still hard to hold their attention. So for her to make a lesson, and for them to sit still long enough to learn the lesson and to learn about the letters and then go practice the letters, and it be a fun thing and they be excited about it and they actually do it, I think that says a lot, because it is very hard to hold certain kindergartners' attention. And there was one girl in there, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she had ADHD, and because she was always moving on the carpet. She could not sit still, and she would always go back and forth on this carpet. And Miss Wilbanks would say, well, you need to stay in your stay there spot, please will you stay in your stay there spot. And this girl just could not sit still, and I'm the same way. I can't sit still for long. So for her, Miss Wilbanks just kind of let her go back and forth. But this particular student was the top of the class, like the top of the class. This student already knew A through Z, already knew how to count up, I think it was 40. I mean, she was a very bright student, and a lot of the students in this particular class were not that developed in that aspect, because a lot of them did not even know their ABCs. They couldn't remember what came after C. They couldn't remember how to do the letters. They didn't know what came after 10. They had no idea, because I guess they didn't go through preschool, or they just didn't know before. So she was always on top of the ball, and she was just amazing student. She really was. And for her, Miss Wilbanks, to be able to keep the teaching approach as entertainment and structured at the same time, I think was just amazing. The grow, I guess, that I would have to say about this one that's kind of difficult. I mean, I think the teaching approach was very well. I mean, she came at it from, it was more focused on the students, was focused on the individual student's needs. So, that's why she let that one student run back and forth on the carpet, is because that's what she needed to do. I mean, so Miss Wilbanks was all about the students, all about what they needed to do, what they needed to succeed themselves. So I don't really have a grow for the teaching approach. I guess you would just say that, gosh, I don't even know. I'm gonna say I don't have to grow, because I really don't. Her approach is exactly how I would want to approach it when I become a teacher. I would definitely want the students to, obviously it's going to be all about the students, because it's one of my passions. Is why I'm so passionate about teaching, because it is all about the students. But it was entertaining for them. They loved it. Every student was taken care of. Every student was cared for. I mean, it was awesome. Every student received praise. They also received a little bit of critique, I mean, where it was needed, but it was good. It was really good. It was a great approach. And for my conclusion, it was the best observation I've had yet. I did go through high school in the teaching program, so I have done observations. I have interned before, and this was probably the best one yet. Miss Wilbanks and I got along very well, and she was very informative. She told me exactly what the lesson plans were supposed to say, what she was supposed to do this week, what curriculum. She explained assessments to me. She explained a lot of things to me and recommended me look up certain items, and she helped me learn more about the interviewing process when becoming a teacher. She's just an amazing woman. Everyone in that school is. A couple times we would go over and see the other class, Miss McMillian, who was her kind of partner teacher. Miss McMillian was amazing as well. I mean, just purely amazing. I mean, I'm really glad that we did the 30 hours. Very glad. It was very stressful, but it was very rewarding, and it was such a great experience to get to meet all the kids, to bond with all the students, create relationships with the students, and a relationship with the teacher, get your foot in the door, get your name out there. I think it was a great experience, and I think it came at a wonderful time. I would love the opportunity to teach, like, love it, to teach at Ward, or any school district for that matter. But I think that the 30 hours was a great thing, and I cannot wait to become a teacher and to do more observations and to get more hands-on experience and more knowledge. Very excited.